Later, I'll be talking about Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise's AI clones. I'm Ian Warrender from Warrender Technical Solutions, bringing order to chaos. A couple of things I want to get off. I want to say right from the start, I know these videos aren't perfect. I'm new at this. I'm an introvert, extrovert. I know that I move too often when I am doing this, something I'm trying to stop. Last week, I got a new stand, and you might have noticed that the camera was slowly tilting throughout the filming. Hopefully got it set up better today. And last week I also got a new microphone, and I was shouting far too much, and so the sound quality last week was poor. I apologise for that, but I'm learning. Each week hopefully will be better than the previous week, and hopefully it's informative. That's what I'm trying to be here for, to try and impart some information. As I said, I'm going to get to AI later. Let's talk about weekend first. My sister came up from Staffordshire, from near Derby. It was a really good weekend. We haven't seen each other for a few years now, since before COVID. She's got a new motorhome, and so she came up to see South Shields and spent a good few hours, meals together. It was really good to just chat, catch up, and see that everyone is well. It made the weekend a bit busy, so I didn't get as much social media posts. You might notice there wasn't one on Monday, but family, you need to put family first sometimes. And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. It's often something which you don't talk about too much. Time's precious to all of us. It's a limited resource. And in our personal lives, we use that resource. We don't waste it. If there was something completely pointless, we wouldn't do that. And yet, in our working lives, often managers and ourselves use ourselves as cogs in a machine. We're asked to do something, and we don't say, no, that's not good use of my time. When I talk to people about why they do repetitive tasks, the main reason why I get back is because it's the only way, or the worst reason is, well, I'm paid to. And it's like, I understand that there's certain repetitivity out there. There's certain things where you're doing something for a customer, a client, where there is the repetitivity. If you're working in a burger joint, the repetitivity is making that product for that customer every single time. And there's limited, although not zero, but there's limited ways of reducing that repetitivity. But then when it comes to corporate world, and you come to a meeting that's got 20 people in, meetings that are meant to last an hour, always last an hour and a half, and you've got reports in there that week on week no one asks questions about. No one questions how long that report takes. No one even uses any of that data. Initially, every report that's ever created has an initial reason behind it, and somebody somewhere would have needed that report and have used it at that time, or maybe even for weeks, months. But eventually, whatever reason, data from the business has changed, and the usefulness of that report has lessened. I remember seeing in a company that I was in, and there was a report, very similar thing, where I noticed that in the meetings that they had, no one commented on it. And when I dug into it and asked, that report, is it useful to you? And you're like, well, it's useful for that snapshot, but it's actually out of date. That report was based on Wednesday's data. It takes two people a day and a half really to pull it together. And so by the time it comes to our Friday meeting, it's no longer completely up to date. You'd noticed, and I had noticed, that when they were giving out numbers, they would correct things and go, well, this bit of the project's actually moved on. This bit's no longer stuck with the supplier. So the snapshot they took on Wednesday, by the time it got to Friday, was outdated. And so I asked, well, why are you keep doing it? And it's like, well, this is our input to the meeting. Without this report, we wouldn't need to be at the meeting, and we wouldn't find out other things, and no one's asked us to stop making the report, so we're going to keep making the report. And I was like, well, has anyone thought about improving the report? Taking a later snapshot, say on Thursday afternoon, and like, well, it takes a day and a half to pull a report together. Two people go, well, at the minute, you're wasting 3 days of working time. You're wasting your own time every single week where you could be doing something more unique. if you can't take that snapshot on a Thursday and present something useful on the Friday, it's not benefiting anybody. So we looked at some automation, we simplified the report. It didn't have all the detailed numbers that the original one had, but it had a snapshot that said where things were. And to be honest, the numbers, although they're important, and we found ways of presenting them in a PDF post-meeting, although they were important, what was really important to everyone there was the live, almost live update information. So we changed that report to something that took them a couple of hours a Thursday, still 4 hours, still longer than I really wanted, and an extra 2 hours on a Friday for the numbers, which we then got down to about 30 minutes automating those numbers and then pulling them into a PDF. Now, this is what and how we use that time. It's important. You wouldn't do that type of thing in personal life. You wouldn't do an activity for a day and a half that had absolutely no meaning. There's lots of things that we do for our children that take time. There's lots of cleaning activities that are repetitive, but you wouldn't do something that had absolutely no impact on anything else other than things of enjoyment, obviously, but that still has an impact. There's still reasons for doing that, relaxation and what have you. But in corporate life, people are very willing to do things just because one time a person asked them to do it, and then they just keep repeating that. They don't question it, they don't go back to it. Right, AI. I'm going to play a clip. It's really short, about 15-16 seconds. I'm going to let you watch a clip, and then I'm going to talk about it. A director who I believe directed Tom Cruise films saw that and said, it's the end. It's the end of their industry. A bit of hyperbole there. The thing is, when I see that clip, I don't see the end of an industry. I see very clever technology. But watch it a few times and a few things jump out. One of the first things is the faces. They're really good faces, but I'm fairly certain that I could find which film AI picked those from. Brad Pitt's face, especially, there's some marks on his face and things, which I think you can line up to a film perfectly. Tom Cruise's reactions, his facial expressions, again, you could find those in films. That fighting, really good AI pulled that together. But there's a arm clutch part of it, which comes from a fight director, a fight coordinator, and has been in Tom Cruise's films. There's some other AI clips this person's done where they're talking. The mannerisms, the intuition of their speech, you can pick from films. Even that setup of the two people running together comes from existing films. AI has done an extremely good job of pulling all of those items together. We're way off where the Will Smith eating spaghetti, which came out probably 5 years ago. We're way off that. This looks like two people actually fighting, and there are other clips where they're speaking during the fight. And there's other ones they've done, all really, really stunning to look at. But none of it's original. All of it is a compilation of other movies, other fight scenes, other settings. If you took Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt out of the universe, never existed, you wouldn't have that fight scene. Sure, you'd have two other actors, but that's the point to me. You need other actors. You need an actor to start off with to create it. Even if you told it to create two completely new AI characters, it would pull from existing actors to create that. Now, what's the long-term potential of this? You know, you could ask AI to create you a completely unique action film. You couldn't ask it to write the full script because that'd be too complicated, but you could ask it for an overview, synopsis, beginning, middle, end. You could ask it to break those beginning, middle, ends into scenes, and you could ask it to write each individual scene, and then you could get an AI video generator to populate those and put actors in them, and you could create a full movie, none of which would be unique. I'm not saying there's no market out there for it, but everything would be a remix of something that came. If you asked AI to create a completely original action movie, you'd get best of bits of existing action movies, which it would cleverly merge together into some cohesive story. But that story wouldn't be original. Everything there would be an amalgamation of something that existed. And that's what AI is good at. When I ask it to do some simple coding for me, I know that code exists out there. I don't think it's going to come up with a brand new style. My coding has a certain style to it. I'm fairly certain that people that code could see a section of my code and look at two other codes and see which one I wrote. Because I have a certain style of the way I put my steps together, the formula of how I write my code. So when I ask AI to write something simple to save me time, it very rarely produces something exactly like I want it. So I'm making finessing, I'm making some slight changes, I'm incorporating it into the larger code. Now it did a really good job of writing that original code, and I can ask it questions, I can expand on it, I can do lots of things in it, but it's not original. It's pulling information, it's thinking, which is brilliant, but it's not producing original material. And that AI clip is just that. It's a really, really clever clip. It looks, in terms of how it's put together, AI has come a long way. But without those actors, without those fight coordinators, without lots of other elements, you wouldn't be able to have that. You wouldn't be able to pull those together. And that's why when I look at that, I don't see the end of industry. I don't see the end of what we do, because the actual creation of that, even though it was 2 lines of text, like you said, but when you're pulling these together, it's the human ideas behind it that creates it in the first place. So it's a human idea that created it, and then it created things based on existing content, on existing ideas. Now we can talk about the ethics of it at all, and people are talking about that. But in terms of, can AI go and make a movie? Sure, it can. There's lots of ways you could do that. Can AI make something original? Is the next upcoming actor that's going to have a way of expressing, of being on screen, of the next director, doing something completely different that no one's done before? AI can't do that. Will it be able to? That's not a discussion for today. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. It has been a very nice but cold morning here at the beach. I'm going to go networking. Missed it last week because I was doing this. Hopefully I've timed myself a bit better this week. But I hope you all have a good week. Spend some time with family. If you're doing repetitive tasks, think to yourself, is this absolutely necessary? Am I using my time wisely? Yes, you're getting paid, but even when you're getting paid, time is your resource. It's what you're doing. And so think about what you can do better. But if you have anything that I can help with, anything that you want me to talk about, please let me know and we'll do that. Sun's about to come up. Hopefully next week when I do this, we're going to have some actual sun in this. Speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye for now.